Magandang araw sa lahat. Ang pag-uusapan natin sa araw na ito ay ang lesson na may pamagat na Motivation for Exploration and Colonization. Just to give a short overview patungkol sa mga pag-uusapan natin sa lesson na ito ay may kinalaman sa tinatawag natin na Age of Exploration and Discovery na naganap sa pagitan ng 15th and 16th century. Kinokonsidera din ito ng karamihan sa mga historiador sa Pilipinas bilang isang turning point sa pag-unlad ng kasaysayan ng Pilipinas. Sa panahong ito ay karamihan sa mga Europeo ay nagkaroon ng motibasyon upang tuklasin o tumuklas sa mga bagong lupain at mga bagong trade routes upang makarating sa Asia. May iba't ibang mga kwento o mga mito patungkol sa kayamanan at ang pagiging misteryoso ng mga lupain sa Asia, at ang ilan sa mga ito ang nagsilbi bilang inspirasyon ng mga Europeo upang magpadala ng mga ekspedisyon sa pagnanais na magtatag ng trade relations sa mga lupain sa Asia, and at the same time ay upang makakuha ng panibagong mga lupain. Ginamit rin nila ang pagkakataon na ito upang ipakalat ang kanilang relihiyon, ang Kristyanismo, na noong panahon na ito ay umiinog lamang sa Katolisismo. Sa makatuwid, ang lesson na ito ay magfo-focus sa iba't ibang mga factors na nag-motivate sa mga Europeo, partikular na mga Espanyol, in discovering new lands and to establish colonies overseas. Ang learning objective ng lesson na ito ay to analyze the underlying factors which led to the eventual colonization of the Philippines. The 15th and 16th centuries are considered to be exciting times in Europe. Ang ilan sa mga dahilan dito ay dahil sa reawakening or revival of various facets of human life, whether in social, political, religious, and artistic arenas. Ito yung panahon na tinatawag natin ng Renaissance. Among the chief reasons which motivated the Europeans in launching expeditions in Asia is due to the fact that the latter offers rich and exotic trade goods that are highly valued in European markets. Although these trade relations between Asia and Europe already existed even during the time of the Roman Empire, relation had some setbacks when the Roman Empire fell. It was during the time of the Crusades when stories coming from returning crusaders narrating the rich array of spices, exotic items, and other valuable goods from Asia once again caught the fascination and imagination of the Europeans. This is aside from the allurement and curiosity brought by the tales of Marco Polo, wherein he described the wealth of China and other Asian countries. During the time when mercantilism was the primary economic driving force, European states took serious efforts in securing access to the rich Asian trade. Another factor which motivated the Europeans in exploring new territories is their zeal to expand the Catholic faith, which was the dominant religion in the continent during the 15th and the 16th century. Demand for Asian products. Trade relations between Asia and Europe were chiefly conducted via land routes. Referred to as the Silk Road, a road network originally connecting the Roman Empire and China, goods and other trade items were carried over it and was facilitated by various Italian, Arab, Turkish, and other Asian merchants. It is through this trade route that the products and ideas from the East reach the West and vice versa. Facilitating trade is quite perilous, especially because of the presence of various robbers and bandits. It is also costly, primarily because the traders had to pay the necessary taxes and other payments needed in negotiating their passage through the various kingdoms and territories along the way. Due to these hazards that the merchants encountered in gathering trade goods, these products from the East came with a hefty price tag and were sold as luxuries when it reached European trading centers. Spices like ginger, turmeric, cinnamon, cloves, cassia, and cardamom are among the most coveted trade products, primarily for its culinary use and for its medicinal properties. When Constantinople fell to the hands of the Turks in 1453, succeeding Turkish governors of Egypt granted the Venetians the monopoly of spice trade. This enabled the Venetians to control the selling of spices in Europe. Without any competitor, it would be easy for them to control the price of these items. Spices were traded as valuable as silver and gold. Thus, the Italian monopoly on the spice trade made it possible for their city-states to amass great wealth. This huge wealth flowing to their state coffers made them powerful and affluent enough, thus inspiring other European countries, particularly the Kingdom of Portugal and the Spanish kingdoms, to discover new routes to secure their own access to the source of the riches. Mercantilism. Mercantilism is defined as an economic theory which promoted governmental regulation of a nation's economy for the purpose of augmenting state power at the expense of rival national powers. This economic theory placed high regards with precious metals like gold and silver in determining a nation's wealth. Lucky for a nation if it possessed mines, which can supply these precious metals. However, if that nation lacks the access to mines, they could obtain the metals by trading with other nations. Although the term mercantilism or mercantile system was coined only in 1776 by Adam Smith, the concept was already practiced by several European countries, especially Spain. This economic theory is also associated with colonialism, primarily because it was believed that colonial possessions should serve as the main source of raw materials needed for the economic activities of the mother country, and should also serve as markets of export goods. Colonialism bars the colony to manufacture their own goods, as the mother country shall be the sole supplier of manufactured products. Also, the country is not allowed to conduct trade relations with other countries except with the mother country. Exploration as a way of propagating the faith. Spreading the Catholic faith is one of the factors which motivated European countries in launching expeditions overseas. Among these European monarchs, the kings and queens of Spain thought that it was their duty to spread Catholicism all throughout the ends of the world. Therefore, in sending off explorations overseas, they endeavor to hit two birds in one stone. This is the reason why in almost all of the expeditions which Spain launched, clergymen were always included. Prince Henry the Navigator and developments in navigation. The race of maritime supremacy in the 15th century was spearheaded by Portugal. One most prominent figure on this topic is Prince Henry the Navigator, who inspired the Portuguese to discover distant lands. It is mentioned in some biographical accounts on this prince that he wanted to check the spread of Islam in Africa by conquering their territories. It was mentioned that he led the first overseas Portuguese expedition in 1415, which resulted to the capture of Ceuta or Cuta, it depends on how you're going to pronounce it, in the northernmost tip of Africa. In 1420, Prince Henry was made Grand Master of the Military Order of Christ. Among his objectives as the head of the order include the following. First is to know the country beyond Cape Bojador. Second, to open up trade relations. Third, to learn the extent of the Mohammedan power. Fourth, to find a Christian prince who would help him in his crusading work. And fifth, to spread the Christian faith. In order to realize these objectives, he sought the services of Portuguese navigators like Alfonso Baldaya, who reached Rio de Oro in 1436, Nuno Tristam, who reached Cape Branco in 1441 and Arguim Bay in 1442, and Dinis Diaz, who discovered Cape Verde in 1445. Although Prince Henry died in 1460, subsequent navigators like Bartolomeo Diaz, who rounded the Cape of Good Hope in 1487, and Vasco da Gama, who found the route to Calicut, India in 1498, completed Henry's endeavor. The capture of various African outposts by the Portuguese resulted in the establishment of a slave trade network wherein African slaves initially were the Berbers and other North Africans, referred to as the Moors, and eventually the Sub-Saharans, were sold in European markets. On the other hand, the discovery of the sea route to India enabled the Portuguese to establish trading posts in the Indian subcontinent. With this, Lisbon became a trading hub, enabling the Portuguese kingdom to amass vast amounts of wealth. Development and proliferation of compasses and astrolabe also helped in the advancement of navigation. Aside from some advancement in shipbuilding and cartography, all of these factored in the subsequent explorations and expeditions launched by various European countries. Events prior to the European discovery of the Philippines. Reconquista. Reconquista refers to the series of campaigns launched by the Christian kingdoms of the Iberian Peninsula that aimed to recapture territories which were lost to the Muslims during the early 8th century CE. Although these Christian kingdoms were ruled by different monarchs, the common goal of eliminating the Muslim presence in the peninsula and the further expansion of the Catholic faith united them in their cause. It was also during this time when the Spanish kingdom starts to take form through the union of various kingdoms of Aragon, Asturias, Leon, Castile, Navarre, and others. Apart from the emerging Spanish kingdom, another leading nation in the peninsula is the Kingdom of Portugal. Soon, these two kingdoms will fight each other in an attempt to gain supremacy and legitimacy in conquering new lands. Reconquista ended in 1492. The Catholic monarchs, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, completed the conquest of Granada. The Voyage of Christopher Columbus. The fall of Granada may have completed the endeavor to recapture the lands occupied by the Muslims in the Iberian Peninsula, but it also encouraged the thought of defeating Islam all throughout the world. Thus, Reconquista will not only be confined in the peninsula, but will also be brought overseas. Catholicism will be exported to new and unexplored lands, and that wars for religious supremacy will be brought to territories held by the infidels. Thus, apart from the lust for gold and other precious metals, as well as herbs and spices to satisfy their desires, spreading the faith. Resentment of the Catholic monarchs against the Muslims paved the way to the launching of the first voyage of Christopher Columbus. Columbus attempted to find a route to China and India. However, his calculations proved to be wrong because instead of reaching Asia, he reached Guanahani in the Bahamas on October 1492, thus starting the Spanish exploration in the Americas. Lines of demarcation in the rift between Spain and Portugal. Following the initial success of the expedition of Columbus, Portugal and Spain rifted from each other and became arch competitors in a bid to secure territories overseas. Pope Alexander VI intervened to settle the rivalry by issuing series of papal bulls known as the Bulls of Donation. The first of which is the Inter Cetera, dated May 3, 1493, that grants the Spanish monarchs the sovereignty over the lands discovered and to be discovered westward. The second is the Eximie Devotionis, which states that sovereignty shall be exercised in the same manner as that of the King of Portugal in his possessions. The third is another Inter Cetera, dated May 4, 1493, which sets the line of demarcation 100 leagues west of the Azores and Cape Verde Islands. The fourth is Dudum Siquidem, which grants Ferdinand and Isabella and their successors full and free power through their own authority to take new possessions, to hold them forever, and to defend it against whosoever may oppose it. Through the Treaty of Tordesillas of June 7, 1494, between King Ferdinand II of Aragon and Queen Isabella I of Castile and King John II of Portugal, some vagueness in the Inter Cetera Bull of May 4, 1493 were clarified. If Pope Alexander VI set the line of demarcation 100 leagues west of the Azores and Cape Verde Islands, the Treaty of Tordesillas set the line of demarcation to 370 leagues west of the Cape Verde Islands. For students of readings in Philippine history, this video serves as a supplement in our initial discussion. However, for the students of Colonial Philippines 1, the Philippines under Spain, take note of the following assessment activities. First, explain how mercantilism and the demand for Asian products inspired the Europeans to launch new expeditions overseas. This will serve as your quiz number 2. Second, explain how Reconquista motivated the Christian kingdoms of the Iberian Peninsula to explore new territories overseas. This will serve as your quiz number 3. Assignment tab will be uploaded in your or posted in your Microsoft Teams. This ends this video presentation. Thank you for listening and goodbye everyone.